Poetik Flakko concocts a weird and unhinged defense of Drake and his Spotify bots.
You West Coast dudes need to be embarrassed of yourselves, man. This is sick, man. Must y'all be sellouts all your lives? So they want us to believe this struggle rapper from the West Coast called RBX was able to fund millions of dollars in investigative research by himself to uncover Drake's back-end stream data that was able to use geomapping to prove that Drake is buying billions of streams each and every month. And because of this, he wants Spotify to compensate him because Drake buying streams is the reason why him and his struggle buddies are now successful rappers in the streaming era. I'm gonna tell y'all this, man. First off, he don't got the millions of dollars to fund this, bruh. UMG is who funded the research. UMG is who had access to that information. UMG is part owners in Spotify, which is why they only got Spotify data. They don't got Apple Music data or anywhere else. Drake filed 30 motions in the Eastern District of New York to get the same information they got about Kendrick Lamar. They denied it. UMG are the only ones who had this information. They gave it to them lawyers. They gave it to this West Coast jigaboo, right, called RBX. And they're using him, as they've always done for the last 50 years, to destroy and attack people of the culture. This is just another example of the West Coast selling us out. This lawsuit is not going anywhere. He's not winning this lawsuit. He took the butter biscuits to be the leader of this, okay? It's no coincidence, okay? A dude named RBX, who's the cousin of Snoop Dogg, associates of Kendrick Lamar, is the one who signed up. This lawsuit is to destroy Drake's legacy. It's to destroy Drake's credibility. It's to take away the only thing Drake really got left, which is his accolades. If you could slander him enough to prove, yo, these accolades is bought out, you can destroy Drake at this point, right? Because Drake got nothing else left but those accolades. West Coast, man, y'all do better, bro. All right? Y'all do better, man. Sellouts, man.
What's up, word? Your boy Charles Brown back again talking facts. Hit that like button, hit the subscribe, hit the notification bell. Keep sending those Cashapps to CLBMG. Join the membership gang. Listen, I don't know if you watched my video response yesterday to Drake being hit. Well, not Drake, to Spotify being hit with the lawsuit claiming that Drake was allowed to fake over 37 billion streams on their platform for a myriad of reasons. Well, I said in that video that the detractors of Kendrick would immediately come just because the name in the lawsuit contained a rapper by the name of RBX. I said they would blame the West Coast. Even though Poetik Flakko is located on the West Coast and deals with a lot of West Coast politics, for lack of a better word, he goes to No Jumper to work almost every day. He's around Adam 22 and a lot of other gang-affiliated people. Not saying Adam 22 is gang-affiliated, but a lot of people that Poetik Flakko comes into contact with and claims to be friends with, right, are gang-affiliated and West Coast rappers that he has such a disdain for, right? I told you I went over to West Coast. I went over to the West Coast, went to No Jumper, and Poetik Flakko was not there, but I did get to meet Brick Baby, Almighty, Adam 22, and a couple other people. It's a real cool environment, a business. It's in an industrial park. It's a very, very business-minded place. It's not a place full of ignorance and nonsense. So when you see the antics such as this, where Poetik Flakko jumps out and calls people jigga and things of that nature in regards to West Coast, you know it's all theatrics. And I don't know who sends Poetik Flakko out on these crash missions, but this is weird and unhinged to call a rapper who's actually seeking justice for other rappers, to call him a jigga and things of that nature. I don't want to say that word too many times. I'm not trying to get demonetized. But Poetik Flakko takes are usually always leaning toward the opposite of the culture. Let's just be honest. So for him to use the word culture in his defense of Drake, and I wrote down a bunch of things I want to debunk in this statement, for him to use Drake as the culture is in and of itself, it validates everything you're saying after the fact. But I do want to discuss where we are with this conversation, because I told you they would come running, and they did. They came to attack RBX. They didn't say nothing. You notice nowhere in that rant and nowhere on any other rants on X, because as I said, they surely came out in force. None of them, they're not even denying that Drake did it. None of them care that Drake did it, which I said they would attack the source and they would attack the literal information, but they wouldn't say that Drake didn't do it, right? So they're at the point, they're not even denying this stuff anymore, gang. Like these people, the Drake fans, the Drake stooges, the bubble bath rapper, the concierge, what do you call them, the concierges, like whatever, whoever's doing whatever work in regards to the bubble bath rapper, they're not even trying to disprove this stuff anymore, gang. When you got this many allegations and this many scandals, you get tired of fighting the scandals. You just fight the people bringing you the scandals. So they attacked RBX. They attacked the entire West Coast by extension, right? Let's just be honest. RBX hasn't had a record since he was on, I know he was on Dr. Dre stuff, The Chronic, and he did some other stuff after that. Maybe he did an Eminem feature, but all of that's by connection with Aftermath and Shady, but it hasn't been a lot of RBX music going on. I'm sure he's dropping this, that, and the third, but last I've seen of RBX, pretty bitter, right? Pretty angry. Even when they talked to him about the movie, when the movie came out, when Straight Outta Compton came out, RBX didn't have really a whole lot of good things to say about Dr. Dre or the movie, or I'm just going to be honest, if I'm not mistaken, RBX sounded pretty bitter about everything that went down. But with that being said, you can still be a bitter, angry old rapper and still be right? So RBX name being attached to this, like I said, I wish it wasn't, because it's going to make it that much more difficult to actually for us to defend this lawsuit. But we know it's true, and we got a lot to talk about with this, because just because it's RBX who's an older rapper doesn't mean that the information is incorrect. So for one thing, the first thing that Poetik Flakko did was to kill the messenger. He went straight at RBX. RBX is allegedly Snoop's cousin, and you know the whole thing is a family affair. All of that Death Row, Aftermath, all of that stuff, the Chronic 2001, they're all related to some degree. And Warren G, all that whole thing is family orientated to a degree. So yes, he most likely, I didn't know RBX was Snoop cousin. I'm just gonna be honest. I know a lot of shit about the West Coast rap, but I did not know that RBX was Snoop cousin. So this is news to me. But at the end of the day, Poetik Flakko went straight to West Coast attacking Drake and lined it all up for Kendrick, like I said he would. So I want to debunk some of this nonsense, because first of all, Poetik Flakko, he's driven by I don't know what it is with this thing with him and Drake. I can't call it. I don't know if it's a bag thing or a loyalty thing or some kind of thing where he just hates the West Coast and he lives there. I don't know what it is, but he's been writing for Drake since the beginning of this battle. Some of his videos were borderline blasphemy, because he would get so ridiculous with these narratives. It got so dumb that it almost, you can't ruin his credibility because he don't have that much of it. But at the end of the day, the simple fact of the matter is he does so many different news stories. He has so many different people coming into that channel. There's never going to be one video that destroys Flakko, because he talks about everything. He's talking about David, the guy that killed the girl. So he's talking about every single possible news thing. He's almost like the National Enquirer, right? So he can have these bad takes and it won't really hurt his channel, because he just make another video. He's doing 5 videos a day. You know what I'm saying? So it won't really hurt him or discredit him unless he does something really egregious or illegal. But for the most part, he make these awful takes about the battle, awful takes about Kendrick, especially on Twitter. He's relentless about attacking Kendrick, which is ironic that he's on the West Coast. He attacks a lot of the rappers over there and claims to be friends with others. And it's just the weirdest thing to see. But almost every time he goes on a rant, it's always wrong. He doesn't know anything about the culture. He's almost like if academics was like, I don't know if you saw this movie called Enemy Mine, right? Where the Earthling is trapped on the planet with his enemy, alien enemy, played by Lou Gossett, right? I think it's Dennis Quaid and Lou Gossett. And the aliens, the men have the babies. So the alien has a baby on this planet while him and the human, they are interacting, but they're not friends, but they have to make this alliance to survive. The man has a baby. If academics was Enemy Mine and he spit out a baby, it probably would be Poetik Flakko. Just dumb, just ill-informed, and just underprepared to talk about the subject, says narratives that only lean toward the opposite direction of the culture. So here we are again, enemy mine, right? This dude, Flakko, you can almost guarantee 50%, it's a 50-50 chance that he's going to get any topic about hip-hop, right or wrong. You can flip a coin and be like, all right, Flakko, I'm going to flip this coin, and then when it hits, just start talking, and we're going to see which one you get. It's 9 times out of 10 going to be wrong. So we're here again, and I want to debunk this nonsense, this weird-ass shit that he's talking about. So I wrote down what I think is important of what he said, and I have a response for all of it. First of all, he calls RBX a West Coast jig being used by UMG to destroy and attack people of the culture. He said they've been doing it for 50 years. So first of all, RBX is in the culture. So I don't know how he's being used to destroy the culture. As if you're saying that West Coast rappers have been used for years to destroy the culture. What are you saying, that they're not part of this culture? First of all. Second of all, Drake is not the culture. So what are we talking about? Drake has been masquerading and pretending to be a part of this culture, right? End of the day, what are we talking about? This lawsuit is against Spotify. Drake ain't even, they're not even naming Drake as a defendant in the thing. They're just using Drake as the example of where they were letting the bots be. They're saying that Drake has used fake bots, or someone in regards to Drake's account has used fake bots for years to the tune of 37 billion fake streams that they can prove. They said 250,000 of them streams that were allocated to be from the UK. Once they geo-mapped them, they found that 250,000 streams for No Face, which is a fairly new record, just dropped the shit a few months ago. He was that was after the beef, after the battle, after the lawsuit was cooked up, all that. He dropped No Face and still allegedly was botting. So they're saying that those streams they were supposed to be from the UK. They geo-mapped them to be from Turkey, which means some botters they were using VPNs to mask their identity, and they were botting, bouncing around where the actual identity was from. When they finally geo-mapped it, it was coming nowhere from no UK. It was coming out of Turkey. They were making it look like the UK. So that's what these people are alleging, that this and many more of his songs and his streams came from bot farms illegally, or depending on how you look at it, from other countries, this, that, and the third, right? So they're saying that they can prove it. Now, there is nothing about, this isn't to diminish or dispel Drake, which it will, by nature, it will diminish and dispel what he got going on, but the lawsuit is not about Drake. They're not saying that Drake is the problem. They're saying Spotify is taking from the pool of money that's supposed to be allocated for all artists, and it's supposed to be divided up equally. If Drake and company stream fake accounts and fake numbers, fraudulent numbers, they get a bigger cut of the pie. And then what's left is, that's why the streaming payments are so low, because they're saying there's only a certain amount that we even have to pay. So we can't raise you to a penny a stream, because it ain't enough money to give you a penny a stream. So we're going to give you 10/3 of a penny, or whatever it is they give you. So they're saying by default, by Drake and company stealing, and by Spotify turning a blind eye to the theft, it is making a smaller pot for the artists that actually are doing organic numbers, like RBX and whoever else they want to name, right? Me and whoever else is rapping out here. So this isn't about Drake per se. This is about Spotify allowing it. Spotify retaliated by saying, we never allow fraudulent streams. As a matter of fact, there was an artist who managed to steal 10 million in fraudulent streams before he was caught. He only got 60K out of Spotify because we're the best at alerting and detecting fraudulent streams. So Spotify response is, not us. Can't be us. We don't allow that, da-da-da-da. So end of the day, what Poetik Flakko is inferring, that the culture is being attacked. This ain't even about the culture. Okay? Just so Poetik Flakko even understands what the law, because I'm sure he just read a couple of headlines. It was like, damn, UMG, goddamn Kendrick after Drake. his feelings so hurt, his panties so wadded up. Anytime somebody comes from Drake, gang, your panties must ain't been out your ass all year, because Drake been getting it all year. So I don't know. He been taking L out the L, right? On some Sesame Street number MLL. They stuck with L. They can't even get kids looking around like, damn, they can't. You keep saying L, gang. What's the next letter? Like, this guy been taking L's all year. So Flakko must have a really bad wedgie, gang. I'm just gonna be honest. But every time this guy gets talked about in a negative way, here comes Flakko, right? With the goofiest takes. He calls the West Coast sellouts. Now, just because RBX is in this lawsuit doesn't mean the whole West Coast is against Drake. But at the end of the day, it could be a little bit of West Coast hate. Let's just be honest, but not the way he's making it. He's making it like the West Coast is the culprits of this, as if the West Coast did something wrong for pointing out this guy being a fraud, right? We don't know the other people in the lawsuit. We don't know what happened. He's claiming that they must have got the information from UMG. I want to talk about that because first things first, he said they must have been funded millions. It would take millions to get this data, and the only person that has the millions is UMG. Well, first of all, they ain't the only person that had the millions, gang. Let's just start there. And for two, and I know a lot, and I'm going to say this one, I'm going to be honest about this. Yes, I know the consensus is immediately to say UMG, and I understand it, and a lot of times it is UMG. Now, the only problem with this being UMG is they will have to burn the house down with themselves in it. I know it's easy to say, oh, they gave this data for Drake. Gang, it's a house of cards if they try to pin this on Drake and just leave it at that. It's going to cause a landslide of lawsuits. It's going to cause a landslide of people wanting to know the real numbers of everybody on there, including your other artists. So if you really pay attention and understand what's going on, it would be almost suicide for UMG to try to just pin this on Drake, knowing they do it for everybody. So it would be a really dirty pool that they would be swimming in, right? They say don't swim in the mud with pigs. Don't fight pigs in the mud, because pigs love being there. They don't want to get in the mud with this, because if they expose their hand talking about Drake got 37 billion, well, how many do Taylor Swift got? How many do Adele got? How many do just insert name, right? So end of the day, it's a domino effect. So UMG would be literally shooting themselves in the ass on some Cheddar Bob shit, right? They would be shooting themselves to hand this information over to RBX of all people. Like, why would you choose RBX was going to face massive amount of scrutiny just because it's RBX, a former rapper under the now you're talking Dr. Dre, you're talking Apple, you're talking a whole other house of cards. This is a lot of money going to be screwed up if this is proven true, which I said in my other video, they most likely just going to settle. I don't see Spotify letting this go to court. They're gonna settle this out of court, pay these guys, and they probably end up paying a bunch of users of Spotify some kind of way, like they did before when Drake was on all them playlists and they paid all those Spotify users, right? This is a class action lawsuit. Now, for him to say the only people with this information, well, I'm sure some pretty savvy people that got access to computers that can find out this, that, and the third didn't necessarily need UMG to get this information. I'm just going to be honest. I know it's easy to blame UMG and say, UMG pushed the red button to sound good. And maybe, just maybe they did. Maybe they feel like they can contain it, just get the word out there just to destroy Drake, like just cut off the hand, right? The rest of the body will survive. Maybe, and I'm going to let you have that. Everybody in the comments that believes it's UMG, I'm not going to fight you. But I'm just going to tell you it would be very, very risky for Lucien Grange to try to expose Drake in this way without exposing himself and a lot of other people, because this got to go back, well, who paid for it? Well, what if you peel back the layers when they say, who paid for those 37 billion bots? Well, goddamn, he been on UMG for 15 years. Had to be UMG. So now UMG just fell into a trap. They fell into a trap because Drake said you were doing it. He asked for freaking discovery, and he accused you of botting. So the worst thing UMG would be able to do is go ahead and hand the information to RBX to show that they were. Drake gonna come back to court and be like, I want this. It's a mess. So it's gonna be really difficult, gang. I need to put that out there. it's going to be really difficult for UMG to put themselves in the situation where they can be audited. Drake could ask for discovery all over again. We got 2 more years of the lawsuit, so I find it hard to believe that UMG is involved. I'm just going to be honest. So right there, I'm debunking that position of Flakko once again, because to me, it makes no sense. It exposes them way too wildly. So he's claiming that only UMG had this data. I disagree. These hackers, these people that can investigate these numbers, they can do this without UMG's knowledge. The geo mapping, they can do that without getting it from UMG. And like I said, I don't think UMG would be stupid enough to give them this data. Now, what he also said is that they want you to believe that Drake bots millions of streams each week, and he never said he did it. So we already know that. We already know that Drake been doing botting, but we never knew to what degree. This is massive. 27 billion streams, gang. Someone put in my comments the amount of people that would have to, the amount of the streams that Drake is claiming to receive for his music, the amount of people that it would take, the amount of users that actually listen to Drake would have to be 50 times. Everybody would have to be playing Drake around the clock to get the amount of streams he's getting, is what somebody wrote in my thing, and it all adds up. And I'm like, that makes perfect sense, because everybody not sitting around playing this guy. You know what I mean? So the billions and billions of streams, it would have to be consistent and nonstop playing of Drake all day. So it doesn't make any sense other than botting. He just broke, what was the record for? 120 billion streams, some crazy nonsense. And they're saying 37 billion of that is fake. And I believe it. So Flakko never addresses, did he or didn't he do that? He never addresses that. He comes with full steam ahead against the West Coast, full steam ahead against Lucian Grange, full steam ahead against Kendrick. They don't even care that this guy, all these songs that he's saying is making all this money and this, that, and third. That's the crux of his whole identity. He's the biggest streamer in the world. He's the biggest, baddest streamer on the block. Well, most of that shit is fake. So now what? Flakko don't care, didn't address it. I said that the Drake stands, the bubble bath rappers, and apparently they let Flakko on the Zoom calls. I keep telling y'all about the Zoom calls happening around 6 o'clock, 7 in the morning. Maybe Flakko able to get up early now, right? Flakko's on the Zoom calls because he got on the front of this. He's right there lockstep with the whole movement. I saw all the usuals, the people that the caribou and industry politics. I saw the regular people, Jay, right, from the infamous Twitter Spaces rant that went viral when they blew up. Jay was one of the people in there, and the other goofy dude from some dude that claims he's from California, he was in there. So all of them got in front of this bots thing, but they never addressed that Drake didn't do it. The Zoom call was probably explicit about, we're not going to acknowledge, we're not going to even address if Drake did. Are you sure? I'm sure. Listen to me, Carol, whoever, y'all got to pay attention. Do not even acknowledge that Drake could or could not have done this. We are going to stick to attacking RBX. We're going to attack Spotify. And of course, we're going to attack Lucian Grange. We're going to attack the information. Do not acknowledge that Drake is accused of doing the billions of bots. Please, that's going to be the number one on the agenda. Do not engage people in your comments that said, what if Drake really did it? Whether they're on our team or not, do not engage with that. So they're not engaging with people who say, you're not even going to acknowledge that your man is botting billions. They are forbidden, gang. I'm just going to be honest. Let me continue. He also said that a New York court denied Drake's lawyers the same information about Kendrick numbers. In the lawsuit, he asked for discovery to find out Kendrick streaming numbers so he could say that they were being botted, da-da-da-da. Well, he's claiming that the New York judicial system told them no, but somehow RBX was able to get the exact same information. That proves that it's UMG doing a hit job. It don't prove nothing, but New York wasn't going to let this guy fumble through everybody's time. New York, the judge, Jeanette Vargas, salute to Jeanette Vargas. She's in the hip-hop community now. We traded Drake for her ass. She's in, Drake's out. She realized the lawsuit was flimsy. So she probably went all those months that she did. She pretended to give y'all discovery. Yeah. You want information? Fine. You want to know if Kendrick ever did a crime ever since he was 13? Fine. Go ahead. You want a DNA test with him and his children? You want a DNA? Fine. You got it. You da-da-da. All that shit you was asking for, she stalled them out. Stall them out, Debo. Right? She stalled them out. She let them think they're gonna get it. She probably leaned over to Lucian. Don't give him shit. Give about 2 months. I'm gonna wrap this shit up. Just shuffle some papers, throw in some redacted bullshit, and just wait. Just wait. I'm gonna end this shit. Let them say no. Just yeah, you good. Banana in the tailpipe type shit, right? So they gave him some redacted bullshit, a bunch of da-da-da. So Flakko reason is, yo, they never gave the shit to Drake and them, but they gave it to RBX. You could tell this is conspiracy, da-da-da. Well, my friend, they didn't give it to them because they didn't deserve it. The lawsuit was flimsy and goofy, and she knew she was gonna dismiss the lawsuit, but she had to get the paper in order. Because she said, this bubble bath, as she's writing it, right, a big-ass feather and shit, she's like, this bubble bath motherfucker, he gonna fuck around and try to contest my shit. So let me get my shit. I'm gonna write this shit every week. I'm gonna add something to it, subtract it, have my kids read it to me back, da-da-da. Just read that again. Mikey, read it again. They took 2 months reading it back and forth, got it all right, said, all right, I'm gonna hit send on this shit. Y'all, we good? Everybody, fuck it. Hit send, case dismissed, right? They knew that this shit wasn't gonna go nowhere. You didn't. You're dumb because you thinking that he had a case. You're calling these guys from the West Coast everything in the book. And then he goes on to say, why do they only have Spotify's data and not Apple or any other streaming services? That's part of his argument. Why don't they have Apple? Well, the case ain't about Apple. The case is about Spotify. Okay? Remember that part? The case is about Spotify being in cahoots with Drake and his team, which may or may not include UMG, which makes no sense for UMG to give them the information, right? So they're saying, we don't know who did what, but we know Spotify turned a blind eye. So the case is not about Apple. The case ain't about Napster or none of these other things, right? It's not about none of that other shit, Amazon and Tidal. The case is about Spotify having in cahoots because Spotify most likely getting kickbacks because they get to jack up the advertising pricing when they let these bots run wild. When the bots are running up billions of dollars, they can go to the advertisers, hand them an invoice, say, yeah, that shit we talking about, nah, Drake is killing shit. Listen, we need more money, gang. It's out of my hands. We gotta up the deal because Drake killing. We didn't expect this. Who fucking knew? He's killing shit, gang. Listen, billions. We need to listen. So now at this point, they can jack up the invoices, jack up the costs. But then when they go to pay that money out to UMG, they can be like, well, we let you do it. Nigga, like, what you mean? We need another 10 off the top. We need some of that cream off that butter. So at the end of the day, it's a whole coordinated thing of you wash my hand, I wash yours, this, that, and the third. So as they scraping the cream off the top, what they doing is RBX and whoever, and it'll come out who's involved. I'm sure if you look deeper, if you read the lawsuit, I'm sure it's more names involved that are credible names who have valid information that they can prove. That's why I'm telling you, this shit not going to court. They already got this shit dead to rights, right? They wouldn't have put this out knowing the scrutiny it's going to cause. So they already got this shit dead to rights. So what's going on at this point? They only focused on Spotify because they seen who it is. Right? That's why it ain't no Apple. That's why it ain't no other people. Because they already focused on, they already know Drake has a relationship with Spotify and they playing dirty pool, Flakko. So in answer to your question, I think I got most of the shit you said. You said Drake was the culture. That already messed the whole video up for me, right? So this whole West Coast thing, when you've been on the West Coast, is weird. But at the end of the day, no, the West Coast is not against the culture. The West Coast did not sell out. The West Coast is not against Drake. I mean, in this instance, right? They might hate this nigga in real life, I don't know. But they're not against Drake in this instance. This is a whole thing against Spotify. Drake is the mule that they're using to dump all. You can't dump all them streams on somebody that don't seem plausible. So they can hide it. It's almost like money laundering, gang. They can hide it by saying, Drake, you got to understand what you're dealing with. They can say, Drake is a huge artist. Of course he would do X, Y, Z, billions of streams. He's so huge. So they pumping it into Drake. They can't pump it into nobody else, right? They can't pump it into Daz Effects and be like, them niggas just blew up. We don't know what happened. They need an artist that you can believe, right? It ain't KRS, Big Daddy Kane. They need somebody that you can believe in. So they can pump them numbers in it and get more money out of it. These are fake numbers being pumped into a fake artist, right? And they come out on the other side, they cleaned it, they washed it. So now the advertisers are paying. Now it's clean money, gang. That's what's going on. And I'm going to leave it at that. CLBMG, let me know what you think, man. Flakko, man, it is what it is. Get your paper, man. It is what it is. But it's going to be people out here that's going to be calling it out. I'm done, man. CLBMG. Head on over to black-yeti.com. Let them know who sent you. They ship all over the continental U.S. Also, every Wednesday, we go live 9:15. Me and TJ and Flay. It's called The What Show. All my platforms tap in, and the Patreon's coming, gang. I'm going to catch you on that flip side. Peace.
Look, mission impossible to drop a few lines without dropping old times when Southern Hill was still a gold mine. When pistol grips was my shit and I sold mine. When Alias was not a show and they told mine. Elevate your mind with high quality THC infused products. BlackYeti.com. Black-Yeti.com.
CLB.
Get my coat, get my sheepskin, grab my wallet, get my pocket knife, and get that hat right there. We out. Grab my pocket knife too. Let's go. When I first came to the city, niggas didn't believe me. I just wanted to join a team and throw assist pass easily. 6 man off the bench, alley-oop pass freely. Suit up for one game and hope a scout might see me. But nah, niggas is greedy, wasn't rocking with him. Unplugged the scoreboard, put a lock on the gym. Told me to power forward, point guard at the rim. And left me with no center and a ball full of phlegm. Not knowing that I'm a dog, a Rottweiler within. With the heart of a pit bull that don't bark for pretend. My bites cut deep, break the bone and the skin. With the level of hustlenomics you do not comprehend. So first I took a block down on the west side end. And then secured a spot with some goons and some kin. And then sent out some flyers, let the games begin. And in 6 months time, the city like that's him. Oh yeah, he the one that moved the hustle to the burbs. And yeah, he the one that knocked the hustlers off the curb. And yeah, he the one that set up shop without a word. And he the one that got it cracking. And all he did was rapping by the Hooters. I kept killers from being shooters. Put a mic in a thug's hand, now he loyal like past fans. Take a man off the streets past the needles and crack cans. Promise mama to keep him safe, then put some food in his face and he'll kill for you. But I don't need him for that. Click like, click share, tell them bitches we back. Share the whole location, tell them niggas where we at. Cause we out here and we ain't the cheese, we the trap.